to the 293 Podcast Show. So today, our episode is
grief. We're talking about grief today.
So that's episode 6?
I think so.
Yep, episode 6. So grief today and how we deal with it. Let's break it down. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go. Grief is one of those things. It's really hard. It's like being in a relationship that you can't get away from. I feel like grief is one of those things that like everybody deal with differently, but at the same time, it's one of those like dreams that you never wake up from, especially when you're losing a loved one that you really care about, or if you lost a loved one that, you know, death happened unexpectedly.
Right.
Because, you know, death it's hard to cope. I know for me personally, I'm still dealing with grief. And it just kind of hit me like back to back. And it's just kind of like, you know, still having to get up and go through the day. But like, it doesn't change how you feel. It's like a shadow that follows you morning, evening, and at night, even when you wake up. It's like you put on your clothes, grief put on the clothes with you. You know what I'm saying? It just like follows you. And even if you wear a mask, it still doesn't cover up the pain.
True. I mean, I hear people talk about how that too shall pass. But I feel like when a loved one passes away, or you know, you can lose like your self-identity. That can be grief too, as well. Yeah. As well as like losing something. It doesn't necessarily always have to mean death, like someone perishing on. It can mean death to a job, like into a job or into oneself. So like when they say that too shall pass, does it really though?
No, I think sometimes people don't know how to communicate with you in those moments. You know, people are programmed to say the things like, you know, oh, it'll get better. Like you said, that too shall pass.
Right.
Oh, I know it's hard right now, but trust and believe, you know, they're in a better place. Or, you know, all those things that, you know, people say when you was little, even in like society, and we always heard those things. You know, you get programmed to remember what people told you, so you tell others. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, why not just keep it real and just tell people? This is what I tell people. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's going to take time for you to get over it, but there's no time limit on how long you should be grieving.
No, you're absolutely right.
Because sometimes when we think we're grieving, we're not grieving. We're still in denial.
Explain more on that, please.
For an example, you know, for me, it's just like, there were times where I thought like, okay, I'm good. But was I? No, I just stayed busy. I tried to keep my mind occupied so that I didn't have to sit down and have that conversation with myself about how I really feel.
Right.
Because the inside of me was screaming. The inside of me was carrying around that pain. The inside was making my heart hurt. Mm-hmm. The inside made me angry. But I couldn't show nobody that. You know, I even took grief classes, you know, to try to get through my pain. But I was so angry because I'm just like, why am I losing everyone that I care about and love? So you know what I did? Instead of going through the process of trying to deal with the grief, because I'm just like, you know what? I'm not crying. But then I had to break that barrier down and be like, you know what? It's okay to cry. Mm-hmm, but the reason why I didn't want to cry was because I was angry. And I was so angry at God because I wanted to ask, like, why? Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, every person that I lost in my life, I felt like, what did I do wrong that I couldn't save them? You see what I'm saying? What did I do wrong that I couldn't save them?
It probably wasn't for you to save, though.
It wasn't for me to save, but mentally, my mind went there as far as like trying to fix the situation.
Right.
And so when grief is one of those, like I said, grief is one of those just like clouds that just hang over you and say, I'm not going anywhere until you break me up in sessions and dissolve me. And a lot of us hide from dealing with grief. You know, some people hide from, you know, using drugs. alcohol, or walking around angry, or blaming the world, or they keep to themselves. Because if you keep to yourself, then you don't have to talk about it, but you don't realize how much anger you just building up. And then you take it out on the wrong people. Because every time you go outside, you just be like, man, why me? Why me? Why me?
I used to feel that way, but I think as I get older, I'm seeing things different. And maybe because it's from my loss experience and just, my experience, near-death experience myself. Like, I just feel like people truly never die.
I seen a TED Talk on that literally like a few days ago, where a guy was explaining that, where he was saying that something about the universe and being dimensional, and he was going into it very detailed about how like death isn't real. That's what he said. He said death isn't real. He said that person moves on. He said we're just burying bodies. He said, but death isn't real. And then like he used a metaphor where he was like, just like when a baby is born, he was like, a baby put everything in their mouth, they touching everything because they have to get used to that body and they have to feel interact with it. And I was just like, man, that's a good, analysis to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was like, it actually move on. And, I was just sitting there and I'm thinking like, you know what? He kind of right. Because, what I'm saying? Like every now and then, when I'm using my camera or I'm looking at my security camera and stuff, I see the orbs in front of the video. And it's just like, man, you can't see that person or know who it is. But it's just like, somebody with you. And sometimes you can feel that spiritually too.
Yeah, no, you can.
But it's just like, as you get older, you wonder how people cope with it. Especially like I used to always wonder about the older generation. Like when our grandparents lost their significant other, and you sit there and you wonder like, man, they look absolutely fine. They look at peace. How are they getting through it?
I think that generation actually understood that death is not intimate. Did I say that right?
I don't know what you was trying to say. I don't know what you was trying to say, but I don't think that was the word you was trying to use. I'm just saying.
It's not. So death is not. It's truly not death. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But they probably see like, okay, they probably went off to a different world, because I think our ancestors, they come from a very different way of life, like spiritual life, than we did.
Right, they did.
And so they look at death as just releasing energy. Like we're all like just energy, like you said, borrowed body. So
yeah,
so they don't know they see that mug again.
Nah, it's it's true. Like I forgot what TV show it was on, where the parents would be like, "Oh, my kid is talking about somebody that was like born in 1954 or 1918," and it's
oh man,
and it's just
show.
like,
yeah,
oh wow. So now they brought into this world into another body. But you know what? I always thought about that, in a way about like kids that are geniuses at a young age, and they're like, oh, this kid graduated from Harvard and he's only 9 years old. Like that ain't no kid. That's a grown ass adult in a kid body.
Yeah,
with an adult mind. I think about stuff like that though, for real.
That's so true.
But when it comes to grief, it's like you are a prisoner in your own mind. Because grief is heavy. It's really heavy, and it come in different forms. And unfortunately for me, it's just like, when I lost my grandma at a young age, it took me years to accept that. Because I never really grieved because I was too busy of feeling guilty.
Damn.
So the guiltiness took over the grieving stage.
Explain the guilt part. Like, what made you feel guilty about it?
I felt like I was being selfish to leave my grandma's side to go to sports banquet when I should have just been there. Because, one thing that you always wish upon when you lose a loved one is, man, if I just had one more opportunity to see this person again, if you knew that they was going to leave that night, that day, or whatever, just to be able to say bye, just to be able to get that last opportunity to just say what you need to say.
Right.
And I think that's a part of grief that, everybody kind of regret, but I've had different levels of grief, where either if it was expected for a person to die or you didn't expect for a person to die. And those are two different aspects.
Oh, yeah. And I think the one where you are not expecting someone to die, like say they got murdered or something, the grief hits different.
It hit very different.
Compared to like someone is going to die, that means you have time to cherish just those small little moments. Unlike someone who just got murdered, you really don't have time, even though you did have time, but you wasn't there at the present moment to give that time.
Yeah, you wish you could have done more.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do let our lives get so busy that we thinking that we have time.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've gotten older, I've started to realize, especially when it comes to grief, that time is not always going to be on our side.
Oh, no.
We have to live for today, not for tomorrow.
I'm trying now that I'm older, trying to be present in my life and in everything that I do. It's working out okay.
It's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect, but I know that, you can take memories with you. You can take the memories that you spent with people, the time you loved them, like even with pets, even the time you loved them, but you can't take cars, your money, your keys, your house that you build, that mansion that you build,
right,
that Ferrari that you got, and all that money that you got in a bank account. It's where you're going. It's not going to you're not going to need it.
You're not going to need any of it. And it's like this, even when you're in a relationship with somebody, you may not even be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to spend time with yourself and enjoy it. Make sure you enjoy being around the right type of people also, because it's like this. We don't know when we're going to leave this world,
That's true.
We don't know. And the thing of it is that we put so much pressure on time, a schedule, goals. We take so much time to put that chart up on the wall and break everything down as everything has to be perfect, when in reality, we don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like.
You're right.
All that can be gone in the swift of an eye.
You're so right.
So it's like, why do we do that to ourselves? We've been programmed to believe that that's how we should live our life to be happy.
Yeah. Like if I had the house, then I might be happy. You hear the word might, right?
Right. And also, like, if you're grieving
mm-hmm.
and you thinking like, if I get this house, it's going to make me feel better. No, you only living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you living in the moment, you know what I'm saying? Where you thinking like, this is what I've been like when you look for, okay, for an example, just with the house scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saying, man, this is my dream house. When I get this house, everything going to be set. No, it's not. So you using the house to keep you as, once I get there, I'm going to be happy. So it keeps you going every day, not dealing with the grief scenario of everything you already lost, right?
Right.
So once you get the house, what you end up doing next, okay, this was fun for the moment. I finally got the house. It lasts about 2 or 3 days. But once you get complacent in being in that house, then you got to jump to something else to make you happy to add to the house.
Right.
So you're never going to be happy if you don't deal with your individual grief.
So here's a question for you. So how do you deal with that grief?
I'm still working on grief.
You're still working on grief.
But the thing of it is just that, like, now I have learned how to be aware of how I'm feeling,
mm-hmm.
and I have to express it. Like when I go to therapy, when I talk to friends, I just be like, man, it really hit me hard today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, how am I supposed to deal with life? You know, some mornings, hell, I just wake up crying. Because for the longest, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't a crier. Couldn't nobody get me to ever cry. I'm like, nah, crying is stupid. Because, you know, as a kid, you weren't allowed to cry.
Right.
You know, crying was one of those things that didn't have an explanation to add up to why you crying. So, you know, you weren't allowed to cry.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to be that person all the time asking why. And I would be so angry. But then it was just like, before I walked outside, I had to put that face on like everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hurting. I would go to grief group and I would sit there and I would be angry because I'm hearing everybody go around the table talking about their grief and then the loved ones that they have lost and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting here like, fuck, if only they knew what I was going through.
Right.
But by the time it got to me, I had already programmed myself to just stay just mellow and just be like, you know what, it's hard, but I'm getting through, and that's all I would say.
Right.
But I'm angry listening to everybody's stories like, man, what y'all in here crying for? It's not gonna bring them back. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to scream out loud.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no matter how you try to prepare yourself for losing a loved one, that don't work either, because you still wake up the next morning just wishing that they was there, just wishing that you get one more chance just to say, you know what, let's just go do what we used to do. Let's go have fun. Let's go have these conversations. Let's make each other laugh. You know what I'm saying? But now when you have to do those type of things alone, or you may see a favorite TV show or whatever it is, video games, whatever it could be, you know, you sit there and you reminisce and you just be like, man, I'm here alone. And the hardest part for me is when I lost my loved ones, I was angry because it's just like I suffer from suicidal idealization. So I'm getting mad like I'm still here and I'm being punished to have to see my loved ones leave me. Just take me and let them stay. I would switch places, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard when you're going through that grieving stage and you sitting in therapy and you sitting here and you just like angry, like you don't understand and you don't get it. Because nobody deserves to die.
Right.
Especially when, you know what I'm saying, they put in all the work to be here to make sure that you're okay. And, you know, they live in life. They doing everything right. And then it's just like, boom, in a blink of an eye, they gone. So it's like, not only are you feeling their pain, but then you got to feel the pain of like emptiness, being alone. So, you know, I used to always think like, man, who gonna have my back? I'm by myself now.
Damn.
Grief is deep. Grief is real. People think they're like, oh, you're gonna grieve for a minute. Nah, you can't put no time limit on grief.
Nah, you right.
You cannot put no time limit on grief. Real talk. And it's stressful.
Like even grieving for, and some people like, well, that's not grieving. It's grieving, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So I remember when an opportunity was presented to me and something happened and I wasn't able to get it. You know, that was grief for me.
Right.
And normally you'd be like, you know what? It wasn't meant to happen. But some days when I wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, God damn it, you know, it still does like hit me.
Right.
And so it's just like, and I have to tell myself, it's almost like a walk down. Like, you know, it wasn't meant, you know, there's better opportunity. That's what we do when we fuck up an opportunity, right? Right. It's better opportunity. And so you just got to move forward. Yeah, I do. But now I tell myself, okay, what lesson did I learn from that missed opportunity instead of looking at it?
Yeah. I guess I'm like, you know, I'm thinking about what you're saying. I mean, you got a point, you know, so it just kind of like, you know, I went through a phase where, you know, Chetty, you was there. It was just like when I lost Zoe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I went through a phase where, you know what? Fuck everybody, fuck the world. Just threw everything away. I just throwing stuff away. I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know how to grieve at all.
Do you think because you wasn't like this is for minorities? I think this really does hit home for a lot of minorities. Do you think because our family history, background? Yeah,
because like when Zoe passed away, you know what? I didn't cry. Mm-hmm. I wasn't at that crying face.
Right.
And, you know, everybody seemed like, dang, Boney cold as hell. Don't cry, don't nothing, you know what I'm saying? Just straight face. Because my way of grieving was just trying to break it down and put it into like one of those formations to understand and be like, okay, this is what it is. Even though I hate that saying. Mm-hmm. But that's how I thought about it in my mindset. But then I was just like, you know, stone cold. But then when I lost Marissa, the waterfall just flooded. So
do you think like both loss was a little too much? Like, because you didn't cry when Zoe passed away, right?
Not because it was just kind of like, you know what, Zoe, my boy, that's my brother right there, and just like, I'm gonna be strong for both of us. I'm gonna hold it down. But I didn't know how to take it, because, you know, my way of grieving with Zoe was, I'm gonna get rid of everything and start over, kind of like the metaphor with the house.
Oh yeah,
thought it was gonna make me feel good. We're just gonna keep the memories alive.
Right.
That's how I tried to deal with it. And I'll never forget, one day Marissa was like, she brought me back to the apartment and she was just like, you know, it's okay to cry about it. And I was just like, nah, I'm good. I was just angry. We sitting in the car and I'm just outside the apartment. And I'm just pissed off and I'm just angry and I'm just mad. And for a whole month, I slept on the couch and his door was shut. And my door was across the way, but it was just like, I couldn't face it. I would go to the bathroom and I wouldn't even look in that direction of the door.
Oh, man.
And so, you know, I couldn't adapt to him being gone, you know? And so it was really hard for me to cope and deal with that. And so, you know, people would ask me all the time, well, how you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling? I'm just like, I didn't know how to feel. You know what I'm saying? Because that whole situation was just flat out spur out the moment. It just happened.
Yes, with Zoe.
You know, and it was just like, we had planned a whole trip. We were just waiting for that Wednesday because we was going to leave and go to Canada for a whole week. You know, like, we had our whole week set. We're going to drive to Canada. We're going to have fun. You know, we only had one more day of work to go. Never saw it. So now that what helped me through that was when I lost Zoe. Zoe was family. That was my brother. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't tell me no difference. And what I learned from Zoe was this: Zoe lived life from the Zoe workbook. And what I mean by the Zoe workbook, Zoe lived life freely. Zoe never let nothing stress him out. If something got messed up, Zoe just like, oh, well, ain't nothing I can do about it now. And just keep it pushing.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, he taught me, like, you know what? You can't stress out about stuff because everybody know I'm a stressor.
Oh, yeah.
But for Zoe, it was kind of like, we was 2 in 1. We was both Geminis, you know, video games. Zoe was that one friend that I had that it was like, if we was going to do some off the wall type of shit, we went and did it.
Nigga, because you do off the wall.
I know, right? And everything would be last minute. And we did a lot of last minute type of stuff.
Right. Okay.
You know? But I never actually got done grieving or even started, matter of fact. And I'm still working on that still to this day.
With Zoe or both?
Zoe and Marissa.
Okay.
You know, because Marissa, I lost my soul. I felt like I lost a part of me because she taught me so many things to make me see life different. Because I was always that person where I'm like, by the book, it's got to be structured, you know, OCD kick in.
Right.
And, you know, Marissa was one that lived freely and, you know, just like live life.
Right.
And I never really could understand what she meant by that until now.
Damn.
You know, and it's like I carry that with me now, where it's just like, you only can control what you can control.
That is so true.
Live life to the fullest. Have fun.
And stop caring what other people think.
And you know, that was always been a hard one for me because I've always been like in the spotlight for so long. But she left me a gift that is just kind of like, wow, you right. Why pre-plan something when you don't know what the next day is going to offer?
Yeah, because you may not get to the next day.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And the thing of it is, it's just that, like, my heart was hurt. I was hella depressed. And I just, like, she gave me an inspiration that I just kind of like, I couldn't give up on life.
Damn.
And that was like one of the last conversations that we had where she was just like, she told me, she was just like, Bonnie, when I'm gone, she was like, I'm going to always be here. She was like, and I'm worried about you. I'm going to always worry about you. Mm-hmm. She said, but promise me that you will still be here. You know? And I told her, I said, I can't make that promise, but I will continue to fight. But it's just like now, you know, the thing of it is that like, I use her as a motivation. Mm-hmm. Because when I tell you she fought her ass off and still would go to chemo dressed up, you know what I'm saying? And go in there with a smile. She never let anything get her down. And I'm just like, now in life, I have to tell myself, no matter what I do, I have to ask myself, did I give 110%? Am I okay with the work that I did?
Yeah.
That is, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, that's the type of motivation that you cannot teach. That's the type of motivation where, you know what, you never saw her feel sorry for herself in any given moment. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, things happen and it's nothing you can control about it. You know what I mean? That's how, like, even looking at Marissa and how she did things, she didn't really stress like that.
Mm-mm. She didn't.
She'd be like, well, it's nothing I can do. That was her idea.
That was it.
Nothing I can do. You're like, what?
You'd be like, we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
Worry about it tomorrow. You'd be like, okay, I'll try. You know, be over there just like in a sweatbox. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, the grieving process is hard for both of them because it was just like, I think when, especially with Zoe, because when Zoe passed, it was just kind of like I stayed in denial for so long. But it was hard for me because it was just like, you know, I got rid of all my longboards. Got rid of my BMX bike. You know,
did. You were just
we played all the exclusive video games together, and it just like, man, what am I supposed to do now? And so, you know, for a long time, I stopped gaming.
So did that change anything by getting rid of, like, what they do, clean house? Did it change anything inside you?
It didn't get rid of a damn thing. See, in that moment, I thought I felt good because I'm just like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I don't have to put everything in storage, you know?
Right.
But then it was just like, once I started doing my work and therapeutically, you know, putting in the hard work of stuff that you don't want to hear. Like, with Zoe was really hard in the moment because I would always sit there and wait, hoping that he gonna walk through that door.
All right.
Because we had a schedule. Zoe worked night shifts. Mm-hmm. So it was like he'd get home about midnight, 1 o'clock, you know. And I always knew what time he would come home. Mm-hmm. We would either watch our favorite TV shows or we would hop on the game and get online. Because we was huge gamers. We had all the systems, you know. Our apartment was like a GameStop kinda, you know. So it was like, we always be like, you know, Zoe would tell me like, hey, I'm on my way home. Hey, we should go by the pho place. When I get home or whatever, go get our favorite pho. We come back, we eat. We, you know what I'm saying? Like, we test the whole day, even while he at work, you know. So it was just kind of like that routine. You get used to it. You know, no matter where I went, there was Zoe, vice versa. No matter where Zoe went, I was there.
That was so true.
You know, no matter what type of relationship you was in, it was like, boom, this my brother, you coming, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Mm. We was never apart like that. So to lose that, it's like losing your twin.
That's true.
To have, you know, your friend in your life where it's just like, there is no judgment, no matter what you do, having a hard day, whatever. It's just kind of like, you want to talk about it? No. All right, then. Hey, but let's go do something. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't to take your mind off of it, but it would always do stuff to where we enjoyed each other company.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe like Zoe was like your soulmate.
I feel like Zoe is not like my
life partner.
No, I feel like Zoe was like my guardian, to where it was just like, I'm here to teach you how to live life. Live life in a way of like no stress, have fun, don't be so scared, take risk.
Maybe he still is your guardian. Like you said, you see all those like little dots floating. Maybe it's Zoe and Marissa.
Yeah. Because, Bobby, my little cat, he be looking up and playing with somebody. I don't know who. But he be playing with somebody. But, it's just like when you lose a person, you really do have to sit down and say, what can I take from them? Because one thing that Marissa used to always say is just like, you can't take nothing in life with you. Only thing you're going to have is the memories.
Man, she is absolutely right.
She is.
Because where you going, I feel like it's just memories. Like you're going to see flashes of your life that you lived on Earth and then, zoom off to somewhere else and be around people that you knew or that passed on. Oh, you don't hear me?
Yeah.
So no, she's absolutely right.
But I mean, like, that's what I look at it like now. But am I still grieving? I'm still grieving. Grieve every day. In the morning when I wake up, when I go to bed at night, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, it's a adjustment to you in life.
I don't feel like grieving ever goes away.
It doesn't.
Regardless if you lose friends, animals. I can tell you the first animal I lost, I still grieve to this day.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Mm-hmm. And like when I lost my grandmother, I still grieve to this day. I know she's around me because I know sometimes I want to pop off to the hinges off the mouth and I can tell her saying, and so I have to kind of dial it in, but I still grieve. Like a friend of mine I lost to violence, I grieve.
Yeah, it hit home. It really do. I never forget when I lost my dad in 2013. Mm-hmm. I was at work and I had got a phone call and I was mostly in shock. Because, you always think like your parents are always going to be here. You're a kid.
Right.
But me and my dad, we weren't close, but like that was a different type of grievance.
Explain that type of grievance.
When you lose a parent, it's totally different when you lose a grandparents or you lose a partner or you lose a friend. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You lose a child. Each one is totally different, because like when my dad passed, I was at a loss on how I should feel.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here thinking like as that child, you thinking like, man, you expect for your parents to always be here in a way, even though as you get older, you don't think about it like that, or you expect for them to pass away when they're old, like grandparent style. It's like, 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
But now in this generation, people are dying much younger. Nowadays, it's just like they keep
20s, 30s.
Yeah, but nowadays when people die when they're 75, everybody's like, oh, they still so young. Not really, but I mean, really. But people still say that now. Because I think we so prone to 80s and 90s. Mm. And now in the generation, people ain't even making it to their 70s.
Man, they're not even making it to their 50s. That's how bad it is.
And it's just like you see how people act when we lose a celebrity.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like some people, it hit home hard because, they might have grew up with that person since childhood.
Like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. Yeah.
But it's just like, I always wondered, like, I used to be like, felt like I was foreign when I seen people actually cry and just break down over losing somebody or pass out. And I'm sitting here like, even as a kid, I would just be staring at that person like, why they doing all that? Because see, how I thought about things when it came to grief and crying and doing stuff. And I always feel like this forever, like, why are you crying? It's not going to bring them back. Right. Why are you crying? I never could understand that. And even as an adult, even when I started physical therapy, even when I started therapy, I struggled with understanding why people cry. And so like, I'll never forget, my therapist actually sent me to one of these places where they do body therapy on you, right? To get you to relax, because my body's always tense.
Right.
And they used to tell me that my tear ducts was blocked, you know, to where like my body was so tense that I never allowed myself to relax, to release. Blocked. It was just like blocked. And I'm just like, because, you know, I didn't even allow people to even touch me. I would flinch.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and they would be like, breathe to relax. And I'm sitting here in this building, and I'm just like, they would let you know when they're about to touch your shoulders and try to get you to relax and be calm or whatever. Right. But your mind is tense, and it's just like, nah, this ain't work. You know what I'm saying? But I went a couple of times, you know, and they taught me a couple of little techniques to try to be able to relax. But, you know, it didn't last as long because you know what? What got in the way was reality.
What do you mean reality?
Because I could be in the building, you could tell me to relax, because I didn't even get massages. Massages to me hurt. I didn't know how to relax my body.
Oh, man.
You know, being so tense and stressed to where if you put me in a room where it's like relax and you finally get relaxed, that's only going to last for 2.5 seconds, because then I got to get up, put my clothes on, go back outside. Boom. Everything else was just waiting for me.
Oh, man.
And then look, boom, 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 boom. I'm back tight like a transformer, not able to move, stiff, because of all the stress and the agony that came with, you know, trying to act like I'm okay when I'm not.
Man, so it just seems like you just harvest all that grief and pain inside your
because
body.
You know what? When you see everybody else that is grieving, I'm still trying to figure out, like, man, they can just do this so freely. You almost kind of envy people.
Yeah, but I think people grieve differently. You know, there's people who get angry. There's people who laugh. You know, I think I'm in between of crier and laugher. Sometimes I laugh inappropriate. Sometimes, you know, but, you know, there's no real way, a right way of grieving.
But do you think because, okay, you say you laugh inappropriately sometimes, do you feel like that laughing is because you're uncomfortable in the moment?
Yeah, when I'm about to cry, yeah. Because, you know, minorities, like just coming from a family that you're not supposed to cry, what you crying for? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, you know, I feel nervous. You know, when you're young, you used to get in trouble for crying. Yeah. And so it's just like, you know, it's that reaction and not realizing. Back then I didn't realize it, and, you know, people used to talk about it, but now I'm more aware of it, where I'm just like, oh, okay, this is what it is. Yeah, this is what it means. But one thing I say about grief is hard. It's very hard. And for people, if anybody ever tell you, like, or if they say, like, man, you still grieving over it, they haven't done their work. Yeah, I don't feel like grieving is ever, you're always going to have grief for everyone. Anything that you have lost in your life, like I said, it can be a job. It can be a necklace that your grandmother gave you that was so special to you. You're going to grieve something. That car, that first car that you got, that you worked so hard for with your money, and you saved up your money to get it, and you end up losing it, getting in a car accident or whatever the case may be, you're going to grieve that. Yeah. The thing is, what is it going to teach you in time? That is true, because that's one thing, you know, you have to, because like in grief, they talk to you about, like, you know, gratitude, you know, and being like thankful for, like, as you grieve, you know, then they ask you, like, well, what are some of the things that you're thankful for, you know? And it's just like, in that moment while you're grieving, you be like, what am I thankful for? Because inside you feel like shit. Inside you feel like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here, you know. But as you work through it, you have to literally, like, be 100% with yourself. Like, yeah, I lost this person, but this person left me something that's valuable at the same time. That's so true. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I've learned to try to live life to the fullest. And it's hard because it's challenging.
Right.
To change your ways on how you used to be. But then you have to look at the person that you lost and be like, they were still doing this. And I'm still sitting over here. Not doing anything to embrace what they left me.
Yeah.
Because, when you left with memories, you're supposed to take advantage of that and be like, you know what? This is my motivation to do something better.
Here's the question I have. Like, how do you take advantage of something when you're not present?
Oh, that's a good one. You can't. That's why I say you have to be 100% with yourself.
Yeah, I feel like if you're not present, you're not gonna fully enjoy or really take it in.
Yeah, that's you being in the now.
Yeah.
That's you being in the now. And like for me, every person I've ever lost, I have to sit back and I have to look at the situation like, what would they tell me right now when I'm down on myself, when I'm having my hard times, when that depression kick in and it takes over and try to change my mindset about life. I have to look back and say, what is it that they want from me? And some people may take that the wrong way by saying, well, what you mean? Not saying that they did take my life, but if they could still be here, they would. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the thing of it is how I look at it is they're not here. They're watching over me. So they still want to be able to see me succeed. And then I had to be real with myself because sometimes, people see us different from how we see ourselves.
Oh, man, that's so true. Yeah.
So when you lose a loved one that helped carry you through the way and help carry you through life because they see you different from their eyes, then you have to look deep within yourself and say, you know what? I don't owe this to myself. I also owe that to them too, because they helped me get this far.
Right. That means you would have to peel different layers, right, of yourself to be your true, authentic self. Because in order for you to even enjoy or take that opportunity, how are you going to do that?
You have to, like you said, peel layers off and really work with it because nothing in life is easy.
Yes. And I feel like a lot of people, sometimes when I listen to certain influencers or listen to certain podcasts, they make it to where, or some artists and actress, they make it to where it was easy to get to where they got to.
When it wasn't.
I mean, like I said, we're being transparent on just the highs and the lows of life itself, as far as grieving, self-love. I mean, it takes a lot of work, even when grieving. I mean, to get to the place where you need to be. I'm not going to say grieving is going to go away, but where you can say, you know what, I'm all right today.
Yeah. And like I said, every day is a different day. But if you do one thing for yourself each day, you've did something.
Right.
And grief is one of those things that you can't tackle by yourself either. Because when you try to tackle grief by yourself, you're going to always feel stuck. Because grief is like a heavy burden that nobody wants. But it do show up. And And like I said, sometimes we get confused thinking that we grieve because we keeping ourselves busy or we interacting with people. But, that's not really grieving. And I had to learn that because, I stayed busy. And then I drained myself so much to where it was kind of like I had a flat tire. So then I isolated.
That's what I did best.
For weeks, I isolated. And it was like no coming out of it. And then like, I remember when Zoe passed away, everybody was hitting my phone up and was like, hey, let's do something. Let's do something that you and Zoe used to do or whatever. Trying to get you out the house. And I'm just like, well, why would I do that? Why would I want to do something that me and Zoe used to do that only me and Zoe used to do? That was like a me and Zoe thing, But I mean, like, I get it that people was trying and stuff like that. But it was like so hard because we knew how to uplift each other. Nobody could come in and take that role now.
Man.
And, people think that like when a person have lost someone, they thinking that if they come by and they visit or they try to get you out the house, they feeling good about themselves. But then they making you feel good.
Damn.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like, people just like, oh, if you ever need to talk or, and it was just kind of like, no, I just want to be left alone. Because I have to go through this process.
Yeah, it's like, I think the most dangerous part I've learned with grieving is being alone. Like, when I say alone, I mean in your head.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst.
That's the worst because you're having like I should have, could have moments. And then you're having, it's like so many emotional roller coasters in your head that you don't even understand, let alone try to explain to somebody else on how you feel. I think that's the most dangerous moment of grieving is when you're alone in your head because anything can happen at that moment. You know what I'm saying? You're going through different cycles, different like maybe, it's my time to go too, or should I kill myself? Like you go through so much in your head alone that you literally, it's hard to be strong in that moment.
It is hard to be strong because I'm glad you brought that up because when Zoe passed away, I struggled so hard that it was like there was times I wouldn't even answer the phone when people call me because like I said, Zoe death was just unexpected.
Yeah,
and then I was traumatized because I had never, being put in a situation where, calling 911 and being there by myself and, trying to be strong and figure it all out. Right.
Right.
But that's when I had my second breakdown. And that's when I went to Texas to the trauma unit. And I was down in Denton, Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
For 21 days.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like I was grieving in a way to where I didn't really know how to even explain it. Because my whole body was just cold and numb. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to express anything. I was angry. I was mad at the world.
Damn.
And it was just one of those things where it was just kind of like, I used to tell people would ask me like, how you doing? What happened? And I never would go into details with people like, I told them what happened, like how the hospital, sent them home and was like, oh, if you still don't feel good, just come right back, whatever like that. And for a minute, I was mad at the hospital for a long time. Right. They should have just kept them, But,
well,
I just held everything in. I just kept it all to myself, because I'm just like, what? Having to call his parents to tell him he no longer here was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life.
Damn. Yeah.
It's like that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's deep.
That is super
and to
deep.
experience that, and it was just like,
Right.
To hear a mom scream for her child is deep. Because Zoe and his mom was really close, you know. And I had to put life in a different perspective, you know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, it was easy for me to be mad at everybody, you know what I'm saying? The hospital system, everybody, you know, and I was just like, you know what? I held it in for so long to where it was just like, I mentally broke down. I'm just like, I got to get away from here. I got to get away. I got to get away, you know, and grief was just hanging on my shoulders. And it's just like, I no longer want to exist. I didn't, because the pressure became so deep, you know, and so I was gone for 21 days, and then I was down there, and I was just like, oh, was this the right decision, you know? But I was able to work on like my trauma,
right?
Because I was traumatized.
Did it help though?
It made me a better person.
Okay.
In a way. And the reason why I say that is because it made me realize, like, you know what? Now I got to do something. I got to change. I got to change up. I got to change up. Like, here I just lost my best friend. I'm about to do this for us. You know? Because my mom was just like, shit, I want to be with my best friend.
Right.
But then, like, when I was down in Texas, was kind of like, you know what? I got to bounce back. Because, you know, people would tell me like, oh, man, you're really talented. You stuff just comes so easy for you, you know? Because like me and Zoe, we had all these different like just goals and stupid stuff that we said we wanted to do, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, you know, we had our own little show, the Zoe and Boney show. And you know what I'm saying? Like we had it out on YouTube, and that was our theme because, you know, whenever me and him got together, it wasn't no like dialogue where it was scripted. Like we just being ourselves, and people was all like, man, y'all are comical and everything. But then when I lost that, I was just like, well, what am I supposed to do now? But then I could hear Zoe saying, you got this.
Yeah.
You got this, you know? And so it made me wake up a little bit. It gave me a little bit of hope to kind of like, you know what? I do got this. You know, so when I got back, I went more in depth into my groups, you know, my depression group.
Right.
My, you know, grief group. You know, it made me fight harder. Art therapy. So, you know, I was going back to my groups continuously. ACA. Trying to put pieces together.
Right.
But at the same time, I was on the grind with that, but I still wasn't working on my grief. I was trying to prove myself that, like, you know what, I'm supposed to be here. See what I'm saying? So I substituted it.
I'm trying to like follow, like, okay. So you wasn't working on your grief. You were just...
In my mind, I thought I was working on my grief because, you know what, I'm motivated to like start striving at stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Work
through my depression, work through my grief. Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm taking it as if I'm in school. If I go in here and I show up every day to all my groups or whatever, be on time, put in the work, understand. It's like doing schoolwork. You get an A+, right?
Yeah.
But see, what I was failing at was the life portion.
Oh, shit.
I wasn't living my life. I wasn't living. I was just doing the assignments.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So I still didn't get it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know, 2 years done passed by, and, you know, I could hear people saying, you know, you still ain't grieved with Zoe yet. And I'm just hearing like, well, what the hell are they talking about? The anger came back. You see what I'm saying? So then I was just like, how do I get this, you know? Because I still was going about it the wrong way. But at the same time, I'm like, nah, I'm going to get to what I need to do. And I was doing the work, but I still kept that emotional piece locked up. I wouldn't release it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't until Marissa passed away where I actually released it. I just let the gates flood. You see what I'm saying? Because it was like, she was the one person who knew me. And when I lost her, when I tell you, I felt like I was put on another planet by myself and didn't know how to do anything, I felt completely lost. Because when Zoe passed away, she guided me, and it kept me busy, but I was able to talk about, little things. But she would always tell me all the time, it's okay to cry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I do? It's like rolling up the window. Don't want to hear that. I'm good. It's okay to cry, right? Because every time I would use the word, I'm good, she knew I wasn't, because that was my secret code. Even my therapist would, because, it put up on the, how you doing? I'm good. And it stops everything.
It stops people from going further.
Right. I put up that speed bump. So now I try to not use the word I'm good. I try to let people know how I'm actually feeling. I had to go back to the little spreadsheet where it's just kind of like, no, I'm not good today. I'm feeling like this.
Damn.
But I'm going to be okay. But am I really? Well, in the moment right now, I feel kind of okay. I know I'm going to get through it. I'm trying to stay positive.
Right.
So I try to do it in a way to where I'm not in denial about it, but I can express my emotions.
Damn.
So now a question for you is, how long did it take for you to express your emotions about grief?
I'm trying to think. I think this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this year. I mean, I never really talked about how I felt or my grief or just losing, whether it's people, animal, job, or whatever the case may be. I always was quiet. What I would do is I would play Tetris in my mind. And that's why I said, when you're grieving, it's a dangerous place to be.
Right.
But I would a lot of times I would spend time alone and just really try to play Tetris, and I got nowhere. Like, I would be angry, and I can tell a lot of times as an athlete, it would come out on the court.
Right.
Like, I would literally be out of character, beating motherfuckers up. Like, it was getting to the point where it was getting bad. But it wasn't until I was like this year, when I started really digging into therapy and really, going over my emotions on how grief makes me feel and loss makes me feel, or just dealing with anything. Like, what are my emotions? And so it took a long time. It took a very long time.
It really did. I think that as long as you the best way to grieve is to talk about it and have those conversations.
Yeah.
Because the more you hold stuff inside, the harder it is.
Yeah. It really affects, people don't realize it affects you in so many ways. Job, relationships, just in all your ways that you are trying to be, even your career or opportunity, like I said, missed opportunity.
Right.
And that really was on me.
Yeah.
But, I'm starting to learn oh, okay, I have to release this in order to get here. Or if I don't, I already know what happens. I'm a walking time bomb where
right.
I can really just get at someone.
Right.
But now I'm more than ever, it's really centered and starting to understand things differently, spiritually, myself, joy and love. And so I just look at sometimes, my grandma's always with me. The people that I lost are always with me. I saw my old cat the other day.
See,
seriously, I don't know if it was real or not, but I feel like, I have guidance.
Right.
But I'm still working through it.
I think we all are. And you have to realize that it's just like you said, we all grieve different.
Yeah.
And grief have no time limit.
It really doesn't.
But one thing that I can say is I've tried all the ways to avoid not grieving, thinking that I'm good. And none of that worked.
No.
It just makes you put more pressure on yourself. And it's a strain,
right.
But you do have to work at it. That's one thing I can say. You do have to work with you do have to work at it.
Yeah.
Because you can't move on in life if you haven't grieved.
Oh no, it stops you in anything that you're trying to do good, it really does stop you.
You self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk. And I think for me, it's just kind of like looking back on everything that has happened and everyone I have lost, you know. I see things in a different perspective as far as like there's always something to gain from it.
Right.
There's always something to gain from it. But it's up to you on whether or not you take advantage of it. It really is. So like,
yeah. So that being said, guys, we have our podcast episode 5 coming out Wednesday tomorrow at 12 p.m. So it's called Forgiveness. That's what it's called. Next episode.
Is it?
Yes, forgiveness.
Okay, it's forgiveness.
Yeah.
I can't remember nothing.
But that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us and listening. If you got any ideas, comments, please hit us up. Like I said, we're open and we're always looking for uncomfortable conversations. We will not shy away from it because, I love to learn and I know Bonnie do too. So,
and we're on episode 6.
Oh, we're on episode 6.
Tomorrow's episode 5.
So tomorrow's episode 5.
But yeah, tomorrow's episode 5, which is forgiveness. This is episode 6 that we're recording.
Yes, thank you for joining us on episode 6, Grief. That being said, like I said before, please take care of yourself, love yourself, try to find yourself spiritually, try to find yourself mentally, physically, and join the podcast.
Make sure y'all like and follow. Spread the word.